it's illegal under state law for me to have a conversation over the phone with you, or an in-person one for that matter, and I tape it and you don't know. The federal constitution and a lot of other states say doesn't matter, uh, that you do not have to know, the third party doesn't have to, the other party doesn't have to know that he or she's being taped. So, and the issue here is the one that you're going to come up with is which state are they in? Because New York says it's okay, not illegal, and California evidently says it is illegal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thanks to this one law firm website, of course, none of this is real legal advice because this ain't my specialty. And, you get what you pay for. But thanks to this law firm website, it says that even if one of the people is not in California, the rule still applies regardless of where the other person is located.
Yeah, that this is conflict of laws, which I taught.
Oh, okay. Tell us more.
Yeah. You can say that that's true if you're in California. But if you're in New York, the question is New York going to give credence to California's way of looking at it when one of the parties to the conversation apparently is resident in New York, or at least the conversation was in New York? They have to decide whose law, because they both have a stake in it. And this one sounds as though, I don't know whose law they're talking about here, where it is still illegal in California. That I'll agree, because California says you got to have both people know. But whether that means that New York has to honor it, and that depends on whether New York even says California law applies. This stuff is not simple. I mean, it can get really complicated.
So my question to you is, why do you think there was no prosecution of Kate for this illegal recording based on California law?
Well, the FBI, I don't think, would do anything about it because under the federal constitution, it's legal, it's constitutional. So the question would be why the police in California didn't go after it. And I don't know, maybe they got counsel that says this is a murky area where it's not clear because he's not here. The other party of the conversation, she was not there. Mm-hmm. And they thought, it would be too difficult to go after her. And if it's not I don't know what level crime it would be in California, whether you can extradite. I mean, you got to get the person there to have a prosecution. And it sounded as though, now you can correct me again, that she's not in California.
That's right.
She's in New York. So they'd have to, I don't know the extent to which they're going to say on something like this, even if the law is really clear, that they are going to go after and extradite somebody back to California on this felony. I don't know what level felony it is. So that could be it. They might have just thought it was you get a lot of calls and they don't go after all of them because they don't have enough time. Because they keep calling it an illegal conversation, a secret conversation, over and over and over again. And they only make one little effort to explain why it's illegal. And then they don't go into any of the complications. But then you get this refrain. It was almost like a drum beat. Every time they had a chance, they mentioned it again. So.
Okay. Yeah, because it does sound like, of course, his feelings were very badly hurt to find out that this young woman was actually recording him a couple of times.
Well, and I thought the brief said there was something in the briefs that he found out that she had done it, and then he talked to her again, and she recorded it again. So, I mean, after you've been burned once, why would you go ahead and engage in conversations with her again? And then there was something in the brief about he went on the air or on his podcast that said it was okay. You remember seeing that? I mean, it was
I do recall hearing that perhaps later he said something like he knew she was recording him. Yeah. So if you're a prosecutor, of course, you would be like, maybe we don't want to move forward.
Well, if you knew it, then there's no, even if your California applies, there's no violation of California law. I mean, the issue is that both parties have to know. And if he's going to go on his podcast and say, I knew, he can say, well, I didn't really mean I know, but that's, that's pretty, you're right. That's a tough road for a prosecutor at that point Well, the plaintiffs make the case that this is private, so it comes out of any ability, any news value or anything else. That again is not necessarily true. If I'm a journalist and I talk to you in a private conversation and you tell me the governor of North Carolina was engaged in embezzlement, and I then print it, there's a public interest there that's going to override the fact that it's a private conversation. So the fact that it's private, not public, enters the mix of what you consider, but it doesn't make it one or the other. And you're right. You've got one party to it who says, hey, it's my conversation too, and I'm giving you my conversation.
If you're a celebrity, don't you kind of welcome any sort of attention?
Don't they say that all publicity is good publicity, even bad publicity is good publicity? Yeah, and that's one of the issues here. He's clearly a public figure, so he doesn't have the same claim to privacy that someone else would have. And he's got a channel. He's been on a radio show. He's been on TV. He's a comedian. It would be interesting to see whether he was a kind of a really sort of sweet joke comedian or was a little sarcastic or ironic. And I'm sure, hey, listen, I am sure it is hurtful to have somebody, particularly somebody you work with, go on and on and on, demeaning you and ridiculing you, which is what the claim was. But you've got to have, I think if you're in this world, you have to have a pretty thick skin about it because it's going to happen. I like the idea. One of the other things in this complaint was they went to his house and got an old pillow out of his garbage. And
the sofa cushions.
Why? When I thought to myself, why would I worry about that they got my sofa cushion?
Well, it was in the trash anyway, which was out on the street.
Yeah.
But I think the plaintiff's attorney wanted to use that to emphasize how mean they are, that these people would go to such great lengths to send someone to his house and look through his trash and take something because they're making fun of him so badly.
And then the question is, when they took his information or material from his channel and used it, was it simply commercial? Was it transformative? Was it satire, among other things? So strictly commercial. It's always easy to see the poles. It's the middle that you then have to exercise some judgment. But if I took a picture of Peyton Manning, put it on a t-shirt and sold the t-shirts, that's commercial. You're not making any argument that there's artistic content there, news value, satire. It's just me making money off his name and image. On the other hand, if I take Peyton Manning and I use him as a character in a book that I'm writing, or I'm doing an artistic piece of players of football over the years, that then, even though I might sell that painting, is over on the other side. It's, even though there's a commercial aspect to it, it's not commercial in the sense that just selling the t-shirt is. And so what the courts look at is, is the commercial element, is the use of the name, image, likeness incidental, or is it a major part? Is there value added in that when these guys did their shows based on Stuttering John's material, did they add content to it? Did they make it different? Is it artistic in what they did to add to it? Or did they just simply take his and play it with nothing more? Now, I don't know because we haven't heard it, but it certainly seems that they had to have done more than just take his stuff and replay it, because he says they're making fun of him. So they've got to be doing something that is comedic content, which comes under artistic. I mean, we may not like the artistic, but it comes in over there. We don't know where this is in terms of what they did. And that's probably another thing that will have an impact if this ever gets to trial, to the extent that his show is all for fun and it makes fun of things. Whatever they're doing, it's not like I'm the straight-laced minister at a church and you're doing it, where my life is over here and you're really doing something dramatically different with my reputation. Here, he's in this world already, and to show what it is they're doing different that's really damaged him is, I think, going to be harder for him.
Okay, because it's all part of this comedy.
His shtick.
Yeah, Dabbleverse. Yeah. Stuttering John set his couch on the curb illegally. Yeah, that's what I heard. That it was not only placed in his trash, but also out on the curb. Street.
Well, the constitutional law is clear on that, and it comes out of a California case. They actually there was a movie that was made that was partly based on it, because the California Supreme Court had said your trash was your personal property and you had privacy interest in it, even if you discarded it. And the U.S. Supreme Court reversed, and there was a case. I think it was Michael Douglas was the judge in the case. Now my memory may be bad. So if it's out on the curb, it's open season on anybody to take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I can still understand now why the plaintiff's attorney thought it's worth mentioning, at least, just to tell the judge, look how mean these people are. They even sent someone to go dig through his trash and grab something.
I would be a bad judge, because I would look at that and say, this is just silly. If this is the kind of thing you're worried about and complaining about, when I look at the rest of this complaint, I'm already thinking it's all going to be frivolous.
Okay. Yeah. How many lawsuits have you heard of where someone said, and then they came to my home and dug through my trash and took my trash,
a pillow, and then used it in their show? That's why I would love to see one of these shows. I can't even imagine what they did with it on the show.
Yeah, it sounds like everybody had a really roaring good time,
Well, the underpinning of the First Amendment generally is you don't censor, you respond by more speech. And it is a little interesting to me that instead of Stuttering John using his program to make fun of their program and get, maybe viewers and whatever it is that he would get from doing that he goes after them from doing it at all. And Judy, I think you're right. They gave him more publicity, which might well have driven more people to watch what he was doing and make him more of a commodity if he wanted to go on, what they don't have much on TV anymore, but to go on a show or do an act somewhere. So it's interesting to me that as an entertainer in particular, that his first recourse wouldn't have been to do that rather than to bring a lawsuit.